This is a quick video to explain what you need to do for translating word equations, which is essentially working with the color-coded equations that you worked on for the last assignment, and using that information in order to take a word equation into a chemical equation. So what I've done is written the first equation on the board here, and we're going to translate this. And for some of these equations, you need to do some work. So if something is an acid or a base or an ionic compound, I recommend that you always work with the information and write your cation and anion and their charges before you write out the actual compound formula. So anything that's on the left side of the arrow is going to be a reactant. There's only one reactant in this particular reaction, and it is the base that is a combination of sodium cation and hydroxide anion. Using your periodic table, we could see that sodium is in group 1. So for the pre-work that we're doing here, before we write the compound formula, I'm going to go ahead and show that sodium is Na1+, and then hydroxide, we know, is the polyatomic ion that is OH1-. The reason I do that is then I can put together the compound that is correctly written with the charges balancing. This needs a 1-to-1 ratio, so sodium hydroxide is NaOH. The next part of this equation or word equation breaks down into, that is one of the ways that we can use the words that describe the arrow that goes between reactants and products. Another thing that will indicate that what you have as an arrow is reacts to form or combines to make, something like that. So breaks down into indicates that these reactants then become the products. Now let's look at the information on our product side. This sodium oxide is shown as an ionic substance by the color that you color-coded it. So let's go ahead and use our cation anion information. Sodium, we know, is Na1+. If we're looking for oxide, oxide is oxygen's anion form. Oxygen is in group 16, and that means that it has a 2- charge when it ionizes and goes from oxygen to oxide. So now we consider our Na1+ needing to balance out with O2-. That means that we need 2 of the sodium cations and only 1 of the oxide anions. So that would be Na2O. The next part of the word equation is and. Whenever we see and between 2 substances, that means a plus. So on the product side here, it means that we have 2 different products, Na2O, and then the compound that is water. Okay. Water is H2O. And so now we have written the reactant, in this case, there's just one, NaOH, breaks down into, means that we have an arrow between reactants, and then our products are sodium oxide and water. As you're working through this set of equations, I want you to pay particular attention to things like diatomic elements. So you color-coded this for a reason. For example, if we see something like oxygen here, we know that when we write that out, we need to write it out as O2. So look for those diatomic elements, those reds, and those will be shown as diatomic as you wrote out for those elements in the compound naming review. Okay. Your assignment now is to complete the rest of these reactions and write them, translating them from word equations into chemical equations onto a piece of paper, and then you'll be submitting that after you are finished.